Mr. Speaker, we are at Pennsylvania Machine Works. I'm going to ask you a question. A worker here asked you, how are these tax cuts going to help the blue-collar worker? What are they going to take home in their pocket?
Well, first of all, the whole purpose of this is to get a middle-class tax cut, to help the people who are working paycheck to paycheck, keep more of their own hard-earned dollars. They haven't had a break in a long time. Our economy's been growing between 1% and 2% for a long time. We haven't had 3% growth in about a decade, and that means workers are struggling. So, number one, a middle-class tax cut to help those families keep more of what they earn. But number two, this business is a perfect example of how we need to help get tax reform to get the tax rates down on these businesses so they can stay competitive and keep hiring people.
But I'm a blue-collar worker. What's my paycheck going to look like? What am I taking home? What are you promising?
Well,
we're promising anything? Do I know some money's coming to me?
You know some money's coming to you. We're going to double that standard deduction. We're going to make it so he can fill out his taxes on a postcard. We're going to lower his taxes. That's really important. So he has more take-home pay. But there's another component to this is, look at this machine shop. This business pays about a 40% tax rate, but it competes with companies all around the world who pay on average 22.5% on their taxes. So we're going to lower the taxes on this business so it's globally competitive, so it can compete with this foreign competition. And then we're going to give this business an ability to write off the investments that they make in this business to buy more machines, to hire more workers, to raise wages. That, to us, is really important.
I want to get back to the businesses in a second because there's obviously some debate about the effective rate they pay, but let's just stick to the worker for a minute. Can you guarantee that every middle-class person will get a tax cut once this becomes a bill and then that passes?
That's the purpose of doing this. The purpose of this is to get a middle-class tax cut.
So is that a guarantee?
Well, I don't know every single person's little small problem or their issue.
But it'll be minimal if nobody gets, if I'm a middle-class tax.
The entire purpose of this is to lower middle-class taxes. So yes, people are going to get tax cuts. How big are those tax cuts? That depends on the individual. Do you have kids? Because they're going to be a bigger child tax credit. Are you married? You're going to have zero marriage penalty.
Well, that's the worry, because
those are the kinds of things that will determine based on how low people's taxes go, because we want pro-family tax code to make it easier for people to get married, to raise kids, to work.
You mentioned you're doubling the standard deduction, but you're also getting rid of some exemptions, and also the child tax credit is still up in the air. Those numbers haven't been figured out yet.
That's right.
So when the math gets worked out,
but we don't know how much it's going to go up.
But when the math gets worked out, there may be some families who do see their taxes increase, and I'm saying it as an objective for the bill as it goes through its process. Right. Will you work to squeeze that number to as low as possible?
That's exactly right. So the objective is to lower taxes for middle-class taxpayers.
Let me ask you about something you've wanted to do in the past you're not doing here, which is expanding the earned income tax credit for childless filers. It's a way to help people who are at the real bottom end, the people who've seen this inequality really face to face. Why is this not in?
Yeah, well, we're still looking at. We're keeping the EITC, of course, because we think it is actually pretty effective. But that's one of the things the committee is still looking at.
So it might happen.
So within the framework of this bill are many other decisions that have to be made, because the framework of this, and the reason we did it this way, is unlike health care. We wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page with respect to the House and the Senate and the White House. Now, working within that framework, we're going to be targeting these things so that we can make sure that middle-class taxpayers get a break. And one of the things that we think helps move people into work is the EITC. So we want more work incentives, and EITC reform is clearly something we're going to be looking at.
You could expand it. Let me ask you this then. Another thing that maybe will be in it coming in the process. The president had wanted to get rid of carried interest, the so-called carried interest loophole.
That's something that the committee is going to make a decision on. What I made a decision.
Why shouldn't it be a kind of a cinch?
No, it should be something that the tax writing committees who are in charge of writing tax legislation will be deciding and working on. That is one of the issues they're clearly looking into. The point I'm trying to make here is I like going through what we call the regular order process.
But you're pitching this as a middle-class tax cut, and you say every child in America should have an opportunity in this country, and that's been part of the American dream. But there are specifics in this. You're getting rid of the estate tax. The earned income tax credit is not being expanded. It might be in the future. The carried interest loophole is still in there. If I'm looking at this and I'm a middle-class person, I'm thinking the estate tax people are taken care of. The alternative minimum tax, which will help the wealthy, that's getting taken care of. But the things that'll help me, those are till later.
Can I get through that? We're going to double your standard deduction so you can file your taxes on a postcard. We're going to take people who are in the 10% bracket and put a lot of that money in a 0% tax bracket. We're taking the 15% bracket down to 12%. We're going to get rid of the marriage penalty. We're going to increase the child tax credit. We're going to maintain critical things like incentives for home buying, charitable giving,
when people
education
look at this,
savings, retirement savings.
But when people,
those are all, those are all middle-class tax things. The purpose of this is to help people who are living by a paycheck keep more of their own hard-earned money, but also get more jobs, a faster-growing economy.